Let go.
Welcome to Letting Go with Grace. I'm Dr. Tasha.
And I'm Portia. We're family.
We want to share our relationship with you. This is a safe space where no topic's off limits. We're successful, ambitious women wrapped in Black girl magic, and we're on a mission to have it all. Love, peace, and the freedom to be authentic.
We let go of control and judgment, learning to give ourselves grace as we implement biblical principles to do life God's way.
So, Portia, you ready?
I'm ready. What about you? Are you ready?
Ready to let go.
Yesterday, like I got off the phone and I was like, off our call, and I was like, you know what? I'm proud of myself because usually, in the name of justice, because I am a justice person, I'm like right, wrong. I will say things and not be mindful of how my words impact other people. And so I was like, even when we were having that conversation about Shammy's party, I was proud of myself for I'm just stating what's true for me and what I see, and this is what it is, and my ideas don't have to be yours. However, I'm just advocating and being able to leave it alone. And so I was just proud of myself getting off of there because I'm like, I ain't had no attitude. I just stated what was facts for me, and that was it. Like, I ain't do no rupturing because I would usually leave a situation ruptured.
I wonder if we kind of learned, I think it was this learned behavior of, in order for you to state your opinion, it has to be a forceful thing. It has to be, you have to get buy-in from other people. There was all these stipulations from having your opinion that caused us to do some rupturing because we didn't know how to articulate, this is where I stand, and everybody gets the opportunity to move the way that they want to move. There was always an element of control in your stance. So it wasn't just a pure stance, like, I don't want to do this. It was, I don't want to do this, I don't care how you feel about it, or I don't want to do this and you shouldn't want to do it either. Or there was always an extra step to your decision that ultimately caused a lot of different ruptures. I can think of a million different arguments that happened as a result of, I want you to come with me. Like, when I make this decision, you need to be making a decision with me. And that was my expectation going into letting you know, I think the mature part of it is when you can stand alone in your own decision and you don't require people to come with you, where you can just, this is where I am, this is what I want, this is how I see it, and that's it. There's no other expectation, no buy-in. That was one thing that I learned too, is like, that's a different way of looking at it. Like, I didn't perceive it to be that way. That's a very different way of looking at it and honoring people's viewpoints, because that prevents you from doing a lot of rupturing and bruising of people.
Yes. And also so to your point, right? And I think that it's the being, right? And that's what I'm learning. Like, yes, there's a future that I want. There's a preferred future that I picture myself and I want. But I think that sometimes I get so caught up on trying to figure out what it is that I don't do enough in the moment of who am I and who do I have to be. Who, and so I think it goes hand in hand. Who am I? And what does it take? What characteristics does it take? What values? Authentically, who am I that will do the things that are necessary day by day that would allow me to get this preferred future? And so that is the personal agency, right? That is being able to stand in, well, this is what's true for me. I really value people being able to have to be able to do what is true for them without other people forcing their opinion on them, especially those who have somehow who don't have a voice. Like, that is so important to me. But what I'm learning through that is the reason I have a fire for that. That codependent, we talked about that. Like, I was researching it. Like, what is how do you what is what what did I say? I typed in Google like, what do you call a person who, and I listed out these traits, and then it popped up like just bold, independent. I was like, what, me?
Right.
But I started looking at some things, and I started looking at the history of our family, and I said, it makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Because when you live in a family where there's codependence, you don't have a voice,
No.
right? Because whatever the the issue is so much bigger than everybody's voice. And a
Right.
lot of times in those homes, there's rules. We don't talk, we don't trust, and we don't feel. And if I don't talk, trust, or feel, then I never know what I need.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So
That's why
true.
I call so many ruptures, because when I finally got a voice, or when like you talked about, when I finally wanted to say something, it wouldn't hurt unless I got angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it. Like I didn't see people responding to the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was at their wits' end, and now, wow, the anger is exploding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was such a safe person because of
Well,
this.
yeah, and I really not growing up and even in a safe environment because I feel like some of the things that I learned growing up was you overexert yourself when you want something to be like you have to put an emphasis on it for it to be true or meaningful or valuable. Like if my mom was getting, if she wanted us to do something, her voice would raise. She'd use certain words. It's just like, oh, we know what you mean. And then you start thinking to yourself, well, this is what I have to do in order to get the attention of the people around me. So you become a yeller, and you use whatever profanity or whatever you can come up with to articulate the emphasis of what you're trying to say at the moment. But it always was paired with anger,
Mm-hmm.
and paired with anger and control. There were always two elements. So it's like I need to control this environment, and the way I do it is through anger because
Yeah.
they're fearful of my anger. When they're scared, they'll do what I need them to do, and it's just like this whole culmination of all of those things that got things done, as you were growing up. But I do definitely understand that unified voice in family that keep prevents you from being able to have an outside voice. Like there's this unified voice. This is what all of us say. This is what all of us do. If you have a thought outside of this, it's not even a part of this conversation. So you need to keep that to yourself.
Yes.
And that's kind of how you move through life. So when you start talking about being, and I think this is the hardest part for us culturally because this is the way many of us have grown up. When you say being, which requires you to look within yourself and be your own person, I wonder how many people do not have a clue how to just be their own person because they've adapted and adopted the lives of the people around them in order for them to fit in or be a part of. That when you ask somebody to step outside of all of them and be you,
Scary.
it's scary. You don't know what that looks like, what it means. What is that defined as? Will I be alone? And, will people jail with me knowing that I'm who I am? And so we talk about being yourself, being authentically you. It's an exploration, a journey, but it's a very scary journey. It's
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It is.
yeah.
Uh, and I'm reading. So I'm reading this book. It's called, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it's talking about the immunity to change. So that's the theory that they work around. And so basically, just like we're talking about, like our systems, our families, and how we learn to be safe, how we learn to identify through these different systems, and then how those behaviors then create strengths, right? So they're coping behaviors that are strengths because they keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the immune system. Um, but then what happens is this immune system begins to work against us.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing, like we talked about, in a family where there is an addiction, or just culturally, right? There's just certain rules that we have. And one of those rules that happens a lot is the don't talk, we don't feel, and we don't trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those are things that keep you safe because we don't talk about it. There is no problem when we get to just kind of survive and move on. If we don't feel, if we don't talk about our feelings, because one, don't nobody know how to navigate feelings. Ain't nobody been ever taught to navigate feelings. So our feelings really don't matter unless we angry. Uh,
Mhm.
and so it's just safer not to feel those feelings, right? And then we don't trust nobody, right? Because people will let you down, and then all of these beliefs that come from that. Um, so those things keep us safe. However, now we're trying to discover, or now we're on the journey of who am I, wanting to be authentic and self discovery. Well, all of those things will create an immunity
Mhm.
to, so it keeps you safe from the change. And so it talks about this gas break situation, right? And so I've witnessed it, and I've seen other people that I help witness it. It's almost like a, because it talks about that semi-automatic response, right?
Mhm.
Like you have the awareness, but you can't stop the behavior.
That part. Yeah.
Like I'm trying, I know, but why can't I? And so it, okay, I'm about to nerd out real quick.
Go
And so
ahead and hurry it up.
it's about uh, how our amygdala, right, which is part of the limbic system that um, it's the fight or flight freeze, right? It's the
Mhm.
part that lets us know when danger is near, right? When there's danger, immunity system. Now these strict behaviors
Mhm.
come up, and I think that that's why it's so important for us to look at them as strengths as well, because we tend to shame ourselves once we become aware.
Mhm. Mhm.
So being able to call them that, but then what goal? So what is the underlying goal? And so one thing I'll share with you what I found. There is I have a control, right?
Mhm.
So I want to, like, this is what needs to happen. And so I had to ask myself, like, I'm aware of the behavior I see when it happens. But so I was doing this when I was doing it has you map it out. And what I realized is that the underlying goal to those strict behaviors is to keep me from being rejected.
Mm. Mhm.
And so once you can get to that underlying goal, or what is the commitment? What are these strengths committed to? They're
Mhm.
committed to keeping me from being rejected. And
Mhm.
once I can be aware of that in the moment, like, oh, I don't want to be rejected. What that does is, because the amygdala will hijack it. So anytime the amygdala's job is to look and say, where is rejection?
Mhm. Mhm.
For it. Like we gonna prepare you for it. And so that's that confirmation bias. So the brain is trying to confirm where rejection is so that we can get ready, suit up to keep ourselves safe. Well, if we're able to identify what
Mhm.
that is, right? Not that it's not going to happen, but when it happens, we're able to call it real time. What happened? Oh, there was rejection.
Mhm.
I see. So it's a lot of hindsight, but what it talks about is being able to quiet or soothe the amygdala so that we have time to process it in the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive brain, the part where we make
Mhm.
decisions. And so if we can quiet the amygdala down from the, okay, attack, danger, um, by just calling out the, ooh, I just got rejected, or that felt like rejection. That
Mhm.
what it does is it does the rewiring. And so now it's telling our brain, the more that we do that, and the more that we don't use the shame.
Mhm.
So the more that I say, ooh, okay, little Tasha, right? I know exactly where when I started using it, right?
Right.
I appreciate you.
Right.
I appreciate you for trying to protect me, but I'm good. I don't need my 8-year old self to protect my 40-year old self.
Right.
I'm okay. Right. What that does is now it becomes an executive decision, and I can start thinking through it. And now I'm not just responding to.
Mhm.
Um, but I said all of that to say that that is the part of being, right? That's the scary part. Um,
Mhm.
it's the, because it's a lot of hindsight work,
Mhm.
right? And I think that we want to be aware, and when we're aware, we will then punish ourselves again, learn behavior, because if we know
Right.
better, we should be able to
Do better. That's
And
it.
it's not true, right? We
Mm-mm.
practice doesn't make perfect.
It does not.
Practice makes it perfect.
There you go. Perfect practice, not just practice. It's the change. Yeah, yeah, I'll say this. The hardest thing for me in this whole journey was the inventory. Was doing inventory. And even though it was explained to me like your inventory is just like you walking into your pantry and choosing to look at everything in there and deciding the things that you want to keep and the things that are outdated that you need to throw away. Like that is your inventory. And that's a very practical way of looking at it. um you're not judging your pantry. You didn't walk in and say, oh my god, I cannot believe this pantry is dirty, and oh, look at all this stuff, I can't believe I got so much stuff. It's not that. It's not moving into that pantry with the judgment, but saying, what do I have in here? What do I need that's in here? It's like spring cleaning for your own character and your own. That's what the process of being looks like. And so when you first, I remember first looking at my inventory. I had the response that everybody else did. I cannot believe it was where everything started with. I cannot believe I got this problem. I cannot believe this. What do you mean I got this issue? I can't believe this is an issue. Like everything was like, I can't believe.
Hmm.
And it took me a lot to be able to process some of the negative pieces that I had because I didn't understand the concept of experience and how your body, your brain does the work to protect with whatever information it has. And so the judgment was there because I didn't understand that it was this process that didn't necessarily have a lot of control over, especially as a little girl. It
Right.
was just this is your reactive self trying to fix the problem that you have without the control of actually doing it. And so a part of being is taking away the stigma of what you should have known and what you shouldn't have known, and gracing yourself for and appreciating yourself for making it 100% through everything that you've made it through so far. And so then you can walk into your pantry with appreciation rather than judgment, because
Yes.
everything that I have in my pantry has allowed me to stay and be who I am today. It's just that some of the cans are outdated. Some of the medication I got in here don't work anymore. It's changed. You
Good.
know, there's dirt on the ground and it's causing me to sneeze. If I get rid of this dirt, then I don't have allergies. So let's get rid of that. And then there are gonna be things in your pantry that you'll say, you know what? I'm okay with perseverance. I'm okay with courage. I'm okay. Let's keep those. I think these are really good ones. And everybody's gonna have good things in their pantry, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
And
That
so you
part.
keep it. You're like, okay, I'll keep that. I think I'll keep this element. This one I might need to throw away. This one may not be good. Or, I'm looking at this one. This was a maybe. And this is the process of being. And now you're so engulfed in the rejuvenation of yourself that the law of attraction begins to happen. And so, as you begin to be or reconstruct you, the law of attraction starts to say, oh, we're changing. Our environment's going to need to change. The people around us need to change. I think a lot of people think that in this process of being, you got to go weed out before you start cleaning up. And that's not true. You clean up, and as a result of you cleaning up, you begin to weed out. It's the opposite. It's like so within, so without. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So you can't go clean up your whole house and assume that people ain't gonna come back. Well, you haven't cleaned out. They just gonna come dirty it back up again.
Wait a minute. Or because I've been guilty of this because I'm cleaning out my stuff. Like I will then go to my husband's closet to be like, let me get rid of some of your stuff. I'm like, girl,
Right.
that ain't your stuff. Get out of his closet.
Like
He ain't
I'm tired of looking at my closet. I'm sure somebody else's closet dirty too. Let me go and play in their closet. I don't know why you still got this old dress. You need to throw this old dress away. Are
yes.
you done with your closet? Are you done?
Yeah.
Get
So
the
now it's
speck
my
out of
responsibility
your own.
to
Right.
empty the closet.
Look, listen, get your speck out your eye first before you can like I hear the concepts that come from the Bible so often. And it's just like if I'm focused on your own self, work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. Look at your own life and try to be the best version of you that you can be. But before you can even do that, you gotta see who you are first.
Yeah, because we want safe relationships, but then, and I think that that's the hard part because there is you just have there has to be this thing. how do they say it in the AA? When they talk about honesty, the word I can't think of the word. Something honesty.
Radical.
Radical. That's what I was looking for. There has to be a radical honesty um, when we're taking this inventory. But I think sometimes we've learned that honesty means harsh, right?
Mm-hmm.
It also becomes one of those strengths, one of those coping behaviors. So I think about just working with a lot of high performing women, being a high performing woman, a lot of black and white,
Mm-hmm.
which is beneficial in my job, but not beneficial when my relationship with myself or my relationship with other people. And so, even as I'm taking inventory, like you talk about this pantry, and we go in the pantry very black and white. Stuff needs to be thrown away, stuff needs to be like, and not having a lot of gray space. And so, even as you were talking, I was asking myself, what is my immunity to change? What is that black and white
Mm.
stop or hinder me from changing, from being able to go into that closet and see the gray, right? Or we'll call it the color, right? Being able to say, like you said, oh yeah, okay, this expired, no longer works. Um, and as you were talking, I was saying like, so my black and whiteness, I think my black and whiteness is committed to making sure I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will hinder my ability because I will go in there and I will be cleaning out the pantry, and the black and white will say, if you throw that away, you might get hurt.
Mm. Got it. Makes
I'm
sense.
so you need to keep that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or oh, but you like this, um, and so we're gonna judge it because it keeps you safe. Somehow this black and white, and so
Mm-hmm.
there's the change, right? It keeps me safe from the change, the immunity to change. And so I think just it's the this and that. So
Mm-hmm.
take the inventory, radical honesty,
Radical honesty.
taking the inventory with grace, and then
Mm-hmm.
understanding when you come up to those things or when those behaviors come back, those when you're not being so kind to yourself, when you find yourself judging, asking yourself, what is this behavior committed to? What is the
Mm-hmm.
goal of this behavior? Why? And I call it little Tasha because that's who it is. Like, why is little Tasha? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And learning to talk to little Tasha the way that other people did not have the ability to. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of being like, oh my God, and even when we do like the voice of God, we're like, God probably like, oh my God, right? But just having a softer, gentler conversation, like, hey, we good, you safe. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You, we can't let the 8-year old run the emotional wheel. We can't be at
Right.
her. We good. We okay.
Right.
Thank you. Go have a seat. And then
Right.
what that does is right. It's the rewiring.
Mm-hmm.
Just those steps is the rewiring of, and I think that that is how we learn how to just be,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's the not judging the good bad, but this is where I am, right? And
Mm-hmm.
see the growth in that, and I'm able to. That's so the mindfulness. We hear people talk about mindfulness practice, and I think when I think about mindfulness, it's just bringing it to the what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What's happening in my body? And how can I just be in this moment? What
Mm-hmm.
do I need? What is that? And I like the way Dr. Anita Phillips puts that. Like, what that feeling? What is it telling me that I need? Right? And I may need to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Are there different ways that I can find safety? What does that need to look like? Do I need to pick up the phone and call somebody that I can trust? Is it I need to get let me spend some time with God and have this conversation with God? What do I need in these moments? Um, and it keeps me from being so far in the future, and I see the decrease in my anxiety
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not so far in the future trying to figure out what's going to be happening in the
Right.
future.
Yeah, that's very good. Um, One thing that keeps coming up for me when it comes to the inventory and the radical honesty is those moments when you don't have the energy or sometimes the desire to look in your pantry. You might look in there. I think of it like you walk into a dirty house and it's just filthy, and you just be like, you know what, I'm leaving. I just can't. And then you realize, I do. Let me start with one thing at a time. Like maybe it is, okay, I think I will just start with the living room first, and I'll work my way through it and give myself time to get to another space. And there may be things you come up on that you're not sure you want to get rid of in the beginning, and you leave it there. And you're like, you know what, I don't. I think I still need this. I'm gonna leave it here, and then you may come back to that thing and say, I've done all this work, I've cleaned up so many things, I think this part is hindering me, it's time for me to work on that. That's the journey of being. The journey is in,
Journey.
yeah, it's the process of the easy parts where it seems very, some stuff is going to be very surface. You're going to look at the date and it's going to say 2019 and you're going to know it's old, and you're like, okay, come on. And it's something you'll be like, I might want to keep that. You might have a hard time letting it go. And but as you go through this process of this journey, then there you're gonna revisit some of that stuff, because it's an ever changing thing. You're gonna constantly be putting things in your pantry,
Yes.
so there's maintenance that happens, and you may go through this maintenance process and look at it and be like, you know what, I said I wanted to keep this. I do this all the time in my closet. I said I wanted to keep this, but you know what, I haven't even touched it since the last time I looked at it, so I might as well throw it away now. That is what this process of being is all about. You learning and you growing, and you turning into a different person, and you changing the way you showing up, and that's the way it works, and it's a process and it's a journey, and life is continuing to happen. So like I said, while you're doing inventory, there's things being added. And so the goal in the beginning is just to be willing to look at it, which is that radical honesty. Let's just look and see what we have. And that's the beginning. That's how we get started with everything.
Yeah,
um
that's good. No,
yeah.
um, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all I want to say. You're
No,
good.
I was just thinking about, you were talking about the journey. Um, and so my goal at the end of the year is like I wanted to clean out a lot of my clutter.
Hmm.
Well, I got overwhelmed because so much, and I'm like, okay, this room, this room, this room, this room, and I think it was perfect what you said, because and I think that that's how a lot of us start the journey. We get so overwhelmed because we are trying to clean out every room, and so what really helped me, I felt like the Holy Spirit was just like, okay, wait a minute, like just today, like what can you focus on? Just right. What is something that you can accomplish rather fast to get the momentum going? And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start with the kitchen. So I just cleaned out the spice closet.
Hmm.
I was talking to my best friend, and while we were talking, I cleaned it out, right? But then I was like, okay, so next weekend I'll do the pantry. Right? And then the weekend after that, then the weekend after that came, and I was like, I'll do the drawers. Well, the weekend came, and I'm like, I can't. I don't really feel like doing the drawers today. I would usually, right, that's that immunity to change, that determination, right? Because my determination, that strength will sometimes cause me to push myself in areas where I need to give myself grace.
That, oh wow, you just said a mouthful.
And so I had to say, okay, hey, I appreciate it. However, you go have a seat, and today, you know what, I'm tired.
Hmm.
I don't want to clean up the drawers. And I'll put it back on my to do list for next week. Right. And so I think that that's the journey. I think that we want to clean the whole house. We want to do 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, however old you are, work. Like we go to therapy, we go to coaching, and it's like, all right, let's get that done. And I think
Absolutely.
the hardest part for a lot of my clients is when we work in awareness. They like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, nothing.
I think
Feel it, talk to it,
notice there.
inventory,
Ask
understand.
Ask
Ask,
where it came from.
yeah, ask questions, get curious,
Be curious. Yeah.
be curious about it. That's like what, and we I'm talking about a whole bunch of women who are doers. And so it is a struggle, but I love the journey. And I think that if
Mhm.
that is like, this is a marathon,
Yeah.
life journey. It does not stop until we are no longer here.
Right.
And so I think that if we can do that, it gives us grace for the moment. And we can, yes, we can plan for the future. We can do our vision boards. We can want things, but then we can just be like today,
Today.
today. And so
Just for today.
yeah, today,
Mhm.
just for today. And so I've been really intentional this week about setting my intentions. Like at the end of the day, what I want to feel.
Mhm.
Some days I'm like accomplished. Well, what does that look like? Right. Well, I got a couple things on my to-do list. If I can at least get one of those things done, that'll work. Well, today, you know what? I want to feel loved. Well, what needs to happen for you to feel loved? Well, I just need to make sure that I'm seen. Whether I see me or, I put myself around people who I know see me and love me. Like that's what I want to accomplish. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, I got that. I feel love today.
Mm.
Accomplished today. Um, and it really has changed. It's made a real difference in my quality of
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. Well, yeah, I know I'm learning to embrace this process. I'm learning to go through the journey. It wasn't easy in the beginning. It gets easier as time goes by. Um, but being is definitely much better than not being. And being me has been much better than being whoever everybody wanted me to be. And
yeah.
so I wouldn't trade it for the world now, even
Okay.
though the hard parts I didn't want to do. But today I can look at myself and say, I know who you are. I can look in the mirror and say, I know me. I know me. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know the things I still need to work on. I know the things that I want to change. I know the things that I embrace, whether people embrace it or not. Like, I know who I am today. I didn't know who I was until I was willing to open up that pantry and start some work. So,
Yeah. No. Um, so as we wrap up, I'm just thinking like, what do I want to tell the listener? Like, what is one thing I want to leave? Um, and you said the word hard. Um, and this is a journey, and it's not easy. Um, and so it shouldn't. It's not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like Coach Portia's. Right? It's the healthiest version of you, the truest version of you.
right.
Uh, and no, it's not easy. And yes, it is challenging. Um, but I want to challenge the person out there who is making the choice to do the work to not look at it as hard.
Hmm.
Um, because I think that if you view it that way, your brain will get busy making sure the immunity system and your strength mount up so that they can protect you from the hard, and it will become an obstacle to your change.
Right.
But I guess I'm curious, maybe what is it going to cost you? And maybe that's the question I have. What will it cost you to stay the same?
That's really good.
Yeah.
I like
And so
that.
looking at it that way, what will it cost you if you don't make any changes? What will
Hmm.
it cost you?
I love that. That's a really good thing. The whole journey. I think the what I would say to the listeners is the journey can be beautiful. Um, even in, I said this to my daughter the other day. Even in, there's always good and bad wrapped up together, and we get to choose what we want to focus on, and our perception decides how we embrace it. And so we can look at it as hard or bad, but you can also see the good and choose to see the good in the process that you're going through. Um, and that itself will change your perspective of this whole process. And so the process is good for you, even if it's just you knowing you better than you did yesterday.
Yeah,
And that's the beautiful part of it, just being able to see who you really are and being okay with who you really are. so that you can decide who you want to be. And the only person that has that, the only person that knows your story is you. So get curious about you. Where did all this stuff come from? Where is it about? It's about curiosity in this journey, and it's not about condemnation. And so as you get more curious, you get to learn new things about who you are. And when you unfold it, other people get to see versions of you that they've never seen before. So that would be my encouragement to all the listeners as they go through this process of learning to be who they're supposed to be or be themselves, whoever that is. And the beautiful part is, guess who gets to choose? You. The world
Yes.
doesn't choose that. You do.
Yes.
So
No, love that.
that's what I
And,
would leave with them.
yeah. And I think you say this all the time, and I love it. Um, Nobody else has to change for you to be okay.
Nobody.
So you don't have to do it by yourself. And so, yes, I'm good. I am. We both have programs.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to help you on the journey. Chosen Coaching and Counseling Services. You can go online to chosencounselingservices.com.
Mm-hmm.
Book a consultation. I am would be more than happy and honored to go on the journey with you. And then Coach Portia also has a coaching program.
Yes, I have Second Wind coaching and mentoring program. You can also find me online as well. I'm open to doing mentor sessions as well as individual coaching. So if you're in that phase of your life or you're needing somebody to guide you through probing questions to where you want to go for your own goals and your own journey, I'm here for that. And also willing to share my story and my experiences to help you along. So you can find me online as well at Second Wind Coaching and Mentoring.com.
So I'm excited. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, some groups. We've got some talks about retreats. We'll see. I don't know.
Yes.
We got books and
All
worksheets
kinds
and
of stuff. Yeah.
journals. We got a lot of stuff coming out. And so I think the leaving you with no one has to change for you to be okay.
Okay.
So are you willing to let go?
Yes. Let's let go.
Let go.
All right. Thanks. Bye, guys.